The Iowa Hawkeyes rose as high as number 2 in the country last season before losing 4 of their last 8 games. Kirk Ferentz expected once again to have a great defense, perhaps the best linebacking core in the country, but perhaps the same old struggles on offense. Spencer Petras, again, the likely starter at quarterback. Iowa picked just behind Wisconsin in the Big Ten West.
I feel really fortunate and thankful to be starting my 33rd year at Iowa. I was a 9-year assistant back in the 80s, and then starting my 24th year as a head coach now. So I've long considered Iowa one of the best places to coach, and really it's pretty much the majority of what I know during my time in coaching. And I think the one commonality, whether it's the 80s or certainly the last 20 plus years, just the quality of the people, and that's coaches that I've worked with, also the players, most importantly the players, just outstanding people and outstanding leaders. So I feel very, very fortunate about that. And I think probably like most everybody that's stood up here thus far and will continue to come up here, there's a real love of the game that I think all of us possess, and certainly love of coaching. So, that being said, I think probably I would not be the only person to say really concerned about the path that college football is on right now, and eager to see where it heads and how what direction we end up taking. But it's a great game. It was a big thing in 1980 when I went to the University of Pittsburgh as a grad assistant. It was big when I went to Iowa in '81, and if anything, it's just grown bigger. Certainly, that's it's always been big and is bigger now. But with that, I think, you just have to think about our players. You think about the voices that they hear, the things that they have to deal with, the hands that are on them, the noise that they're listening to, and most of all, I think the pressure. And that's certainly a concern I have as I think about our football team, and long have felt that way. I think sometimes we lose sight about, just how young our players are, and just how recently they were maybe in the backyard catching a pass or out playing in the street, playing touch football. So, it goes quickly for those guys. Everybody that plays in the Big Ten typically is probably the best player on their high school team, or certainly one of their best. But all that being said, it's still a big jump when you go to college football, just like it is if they play beyond. And all that being said, I think, our focus at Iowa, at least during my 33 years, has been on development of our players and trying to help them grow and, prepare for their lives after their college experience. A small percentage will get an opportunity to play in the NFL. A much smaller percentage will have a career in the NFL, but for the most part, the reality is most players, their careers end when their eligibility expires. So that's really kind of the reality of what we do, and I think that's why it's so important when they're in college. They're doing more than just learning their plays or developing their skill set. And to me, the best part about football and college football is just learning to be part of a team, and what that really means, and just having respect for other people, and realizing there's a lot of other things that are bigger than you. And to me, that carries our players well as they move into their adult lives. Our message this year for our team in 2022 is the same it's ever been. Just want our guys to focus on the love of the game, love of the work that's involved, which is significant, and most importantly, the love of the people you're with. And, to me, that's the best part about sports, and certainly the best part about football. And if you do that, my experience is, the player ends up being a better player, but more importantly, a better person, and is better prepared to move on into adult life. And that's the ultimate reality for most of our players. A couple words about our team. It's pretty much like every year we have a really good group of veteran players back. We had a good football team, as Commissioner Warren cited last year. So we've lost some good players too, and have voids to fill. We've had a chance as coaches to watch the guys who we anticipate to move into those positions, working behind the scenes, if you will, or on the practice field an awful lot. And just excited to see where they all go, how they grow, how they develop, how they meet the challenges. Certainly a lot of excitement for everybody this time of year, fans and coaches as well, but also some anxiety in that you're never quite sure how a player is going to react when they come out of the tunnel in the swarm, 70,000 people there to cheer them on. Just never quite sure how they're going to go. But, we've seen growth, and just excited to see what it looks like here as it unfolds starting next week. Defensively, real quick, we lost 3 really quality players in the back end: Matt Hankins, Jack Kerner, and Dane Belton. 3 outstanding players up front. Zach Van Valkenburg. So, we've got some work to do in the back end, certainly. And then up front, I think collectively we've got a good group of guys that really grew last year, and hopefully they'll continue to grow and fill in those voids. We've got some veteran players certainly coming back at the linebacker position. Jack Campbell's here. Kayvon Merriweather in the back end. Riley Moss is one of our better players. So, those are some of the guys that we'll be leaning on to help the younger guys move forward. And then offensively, unlike the defense, or not unlike the defensive line, we were young last year. We had one of the best players in college football, Tyler Linderbaum, but overall we were a pretty young group. So we lose Tyler, but I think collectively we feel good about the group and anxious to see how they develop. We've got two quarterbacks that have won games for us and played well on the field, and we expect both of them. Anticipate they're both going to play better this year in Spencer Petras and Alex Padilla. And then the running back receiver room, both those groups are young. We've got a lot of young players in both of those. Outside of Nico Regani, who's a veteran receiver, but the rest of the guys are really young in both positions. The Williams is at the running back position, and then Arlen Bruce, Tegan Johnson, just to name a couple receivers. So it'd be interesting to see how they develop here in year two for those guys and grow. And then the tight end position we feel good about with Sam Laporte is here with the group, and Luke Lachey is I think a really good football player as well. So. Certainly we've got some work to do there and some growing to make and improvement to make, but we'll see how that goes out. Special teams, kind of the tale of two cities. We've got Torrey Taylor back as our punter for his third season. Really unique young person, a really good football player. But we lost Caleb Shudak, an outstanding place kicker. So that competition's open right now, and I can say the same thing about the return game. We've got guys auditioning for that. So we're excited to start. We're excited to get back on the field with our players and see what August brings, and we'll know a little bit more about our team certainly at the end of the month.
The Hawkeyes are home in the non-conference. They get Iowa State at Kinnick Stadium, and in the Big Ten, they host Michigan and Wisconsin, but they do have to make a trip to Columbus on October the 22nd. It'll be just the second game between Iowa and Ohio State in 9 years in the unbalanced Big Ten.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.